The Adventures of Lieutenant Ryan James from Guardian Angel Unit 6. Terran Search and Rescue. Chapter 1. Bruno 6 Terran Offensive. The battlefield. Bruno 6, a three-mooned red planet on the outer fringes of Terran space with human colony settlements under attack, under a haze from oppressive heat. The gravity is heavier than on Terra. The battle is not going well for either side. The settlement air smells of blood and burnt electronics. Through the ruins are littered with bodies of Terran forces and Zeniti. A silver-skinned humanoid species, reinforced bone ridges on the brow, with bone ridges to the back of their heads. Long gray-blue hair hangs in the bone ridges braided down their backs, with shark-like teeth, and vastly taller and stronger than Terrans. In the aftermath of the battle, Lieutenant Ryan James, along with his search and rescue unit from the Terran military forces, made their way cautiously through the battlefield. Ryan is the leader of his unit and the senior field medic. They are spread out searching for any survivors amongst the ruins and the myriad of downed ship debris. Ryan calls over his comms after finding several survivors. He checks their condition and starts to stabilize them. Sergeant Major Gavin Mack moves to this location and assists. The stench is beginning to overwhelm their breathing apparatus. They need to find a safer place to set up a triage area, away from the stench and smoke-filled air. Sergeant Sky Devon is moving toward James's location, assisting an injured space marine with leg injuries. They move to a large building. Ryan hurries from patient to patient, cleaning and sealing wounds, stopping blood loss and splinting broken limbs. The patient numbers begin to mount. Ryan looks over the battlefield grimly, noting with despair, it spreads for kilometers. They need backup so he and his team can move forward and move the patients back to their main base where there is more advanced medical care available, before the enemy forces return. As the evac dropships land nearby, Ryan replenishes his supplies from the landed dropship's emergency stores, gathering what will fit in his backpack. While he can, he grabs protein bars to fill his armor storage compartments, as well as a few bags of the bars and fresh supplies of water, as well as replacement medical supplies for his unit's backpacks. Ryan watches as the first load of critically injured patients evacuates back to their base, while filling the backpacks with new supplies, as the unit checks their weapons power reserves. Before moving forward, the unit stops and has a meal and some water. When they are finished, they grimly move cautiously amongst the ruins, searching for any sounds of breathing or groans. Private Tobias Reis scans the area ahead with a life signs detector, scanning left to right, while Mike Reynolds uses their heat-seeking scanner. Ryan has short-range scanners on his wrist armor gauntlets, but due to restricted supplies, not all of the team have scanners at their disposal. They are down a member as Second Lieutenant Sarah Myers had returned with the patients to keep them alive during transport. They are down a person to help from the unit. They fan out carefully, inching forward. Ryan feels edgy. His team buddy Myers is missing, as she always watches his back on missions, and he feels exposed without her presence. His nerves are not settling with the occasional noise of explosions and weapons fire around their location. Ryan whispers to his team through their comms that he feels they are being watched, so he orders them all to stay alert. Lifting his pulse rifle at the ready, while scanning left to right as he steps forward. The prickling feeling of being under observation increases. Ryan slows his movement forward, feeling that something is off about the current location. The hairs on the back of his neck are tingling. Something does not feel right. A faint gross smell lingering in the smoke-filled air catches his attention. It is not human nor Zeniti. It might be a local predator. Whatever it is, Ryan's guts tighten as his unease grows. A few seconds later, the unit is hit by enemy fire. Sudden streaks of plasma fly in all directions. The unit members return fire at the ambusher. Ryan is hit, blown off his feet, flying backward, his helmet hitting a low-hanging beam before his body impacts the wall with a sickening crunch. Ryan's armor is smoking from the direct hit. Luckily for him, the personal shield of his armor had held, protecting his vital organs. However, not all of his combat suit's armor shielding has held. The lieutenant feels agony in his side and right leg, feeling the burns from the blast that hit him. He smells the sickening scent of his burnt flesh, and he can taste blood in his mouth. Every part of his body is aching. His scream dies in his throat as pain in his side and leg registers in his concussed brain. There is ringing in his ears. His mind feels like mush, and he has a hard time focusing on anything around his location. More alarming to him is that now it is quiet. Ryan has a feeling of sudden panic as his vision blurs, as the blackness of failing vision slowly closes in on him. The enemy is still moving. The same wafting smell of something rotten on the breeze is still present. This means the enemy is still mobile and a threat to them all. He is not sure if the unit's response to the ambush injured the ambusher when they returned fire or not, The fact it was still circling them like a predator hunting prey is a clear indicator that it is not badly injured. He smells blood and feels blood dripping down his face and the back of his head. When the buzzing in his ears clears, the last thing he hears before blacking out is the screams of his team members as more plasma strikes fill the air before silence. Sometime later, the lieutenant groggily wakes up. His vision is blurred, and he has a hard time focusing as the blackness keeps trying to suck him down into its depths. The air is getting worse around him. He scans the area, hardly making out a blurry image of a downed body ahead of his location. The lieutenant tries to move, filled with an urgency to find his team. What makes things worse for Ryan is that he cannot stand. His body refuses to hold his weight. He muffles a scream as he tries to move as he crawls toward the body. As he moves closer, he hears a gentle childlike sob. He freezes stunned at the sound, thinking he is hallucinating. It's a child, it has to be, and it sounds young. What the hell is a child doing in a war zone? In his concussed mind, all he can think about is assisting the injured. His brain is short-circuiting. It is too painful to think and to work out why he is hearing a child. So he just moves toward the noise. As he moves closer, he can just make out the outline of a small figure with a piece of debris pinning it down. His movement forward is filled with increasing pain. As he reaches what is a child, he gently unearths the buried small body, and using his fingers he checks the child for damage. Ryan can feel his strength waning as he expends effort in doing simple actions. Struggling with restricted movement, he manages to unclip his backpack. He rummages in its interior to find his medkit, withdrawing it from the inside, then scans his patient to assess the injuries, then curses in frustration when he cannot read the results. Instead, he starts cleaning the wounds he has found on his small patient. The story continues with Chapter 2. Enjoy the content.